Well, hello, thank you for joining me today again on the Church History Trail. And as you can see, we're continuing here at St Nicholas Church in Carrickfergus. And so I'm going to take you into this church. I've been in this church, it's absolutely fantastic, and some of the artefacts in here are ancient, so absolutely brilliant. So we're going to go in and see if there's anybody around. And here's a lady here. Hello, how you doing? Would you mind taking us round and telling us a few things about the church here?
Yeah.
And what's your name? Sorry.
I'm Julie.
You're Julie. I'm Mark. Julie, pleased to meet you.
Hi, Mark.
So what's the first thing that meets us then as we come through the door?
Well, as you come in into the entrance porch, you can see we've got a few different artefacts about. So just behind the bookcase here,
Oh, yes.
there is a cannonball that was fired by the Duke of Schomberg's army whenever there was the siege of Carrickfergus. On the wall just above it, you can see what some people sort of think might look like bedpans, but they're actually old collection plates that would have been used. And on the other side, it's a bit harder to see with flowers in the way at the moment. We'll have a cross
Oh, yes.
that actually predates the church.
Is that right? You're
Yes.
joking?
So it was found in the
Is that one there?
floor.
Just
Yes.
below that?
Uh-huh.
My goodness.
So it was found in the chancel floor, and the date on it is 1164.
That is wild.
So
1164?
it lets us know that there was obviously
My
some
goodness.
form of place of worship here even before the church was built.
Yes.
The church was built around 1180. It's the same age as the castle.
John de Courcy, wasn't it, built the church?
Yes.
If I remember rightly.
So a big thing that with the Normans as well, that, you know, they built fortifications to protect the body, but then a church to protect the soul.
Yes.
So I'll take you
Spot
all
on.
through.
That's great. Here you can see inside the church, you can see the ceiling there, absolutely beautiful. And you can see the balcony. We'll talk about the balcony as we get down there. But Julie's going to tell us here about this window, I think.
Yes, so this is the sanctuary, and this, to me, is the most important window that's in the church. It has everything in there that you need for a Christian life, and how to come to faith, how to grow in your faith, and how to treat others around you. So there are 13 verses of scripture in the window. The last one runs along the bottom, 12 are clearly visible in the window itself. So it starts with, what must I do to be saved? And the answer is, believe in the Lord Jesus Christ. And then how to grow in your faith, search the scriptures, pray without ceasing, and everything give thanks. And we always remember that without Christ we can do nothing. The last verse runs along the bottom of the window, and it is, as I have loved you, so you are to love one another.
Absolutely
So
fantastic.
it summarises everything that you need.
You've got the whole Christian life in there.
Exactly, and that's what
And
the
one
whole
window.
building is about, and we are very much a living church. The chairs that you see, they are made from Irish bog oak, and they date from the 17th century, and fine examples of Irish craftsmanship, because they still get used every Sunday. The clergy sit in those chairs.
I see a harp on that one as well.
Yes.
I think it was, if I remember rightly, I think it was actually Henry VIII that introduced the harp to Ireland.
Right.
So it was, if I remember rightly.
Very good. The communion table is also made of bog oak. And obviously, with, you know, the intricate carving and that, I believe all that is done while the wood is still relatively wet and then dries out.
Yes.
It's more modern. It dates from the early 1900s.
Very good.
You can notice as well we have a crook in the corner. That belonged to Bishop John Frederick McNeice. So one time he was rector of this parish. Of course, the father of local poet Louis McNeice as well. When he became bishop, the church presented him with his staff of office, and then when he died, his widow gave it to the church for safekeeping.
So that's not then for misbehaving congregants then?
No, but it'd be a handy tool.
It certainly
Our
would.
church wardens have special staffs for those. They can just give a quick clunk. Over here we have an example of an Anglo-Norman gravestone.
Oh,
Now,
yes.
Originally, that would have lain flat on the
Is
ground.
that like a coffin lid then?
Pretty much, yes. So it would have laid down flat on the ground. And all we know from the person, you can make out the sword shape here. So we know he was a soldier of some sort.
Yes.
So your gravestone would have depicted what you were. Had you been a lady, there would have been maybe a loom or a piece of lace.
You can actually
So
see the
that's been-
handle on the
So
sword.
that's been brought in to protect it from the elements.
And did you say that's from the 12th, the 13th century?
Anglo-Norman, yes.
That's
So
very
we've
good.
got- We
Brilliant.
have another example of one over in this alcove here. So you can just make out the shape of a bishop's crook on
Oh,
this
that's
one.
incredible.
So this is known as the founder's tomb. Now we don't know who he was. We call him Reg. And we take particularly good care of Reg because he even has his own radiator to keep him nice and warm in the winter. Now, it's great that you're here at Easter weekend because in medieval times they would have held a vigil at this tomb from Good Friday to Easter Sunday. And then on Easter Sunday, this would have been decorated with flowers, all about celebrating the empty tomb of Christ.
Brilliant, that's fantastic.
So we'll start heading on through this way. Now, where we're standing at the moment, look down the church. You can make out the skew.
Yes.
So that has been done deliberately. It wasn't that the builders have been at the communion mine and got a wee bit carried away. So you can see
Yes.
that the aisle goes off to one
Slanty.
side. Yes. So that is to represent when Christ died on the cross, his head fell to one side. Another school of thought says it's a deliberate imperfection put in to remind us that only God is perfect. There's
Yes.
another example in St. Patrick's in Armagh, and they're the only two over here that I know about.
Yes. And what's this here, grave here then?
That's
I see that's
to do with the
1954.
flooring. Yes, so that was a lady who gave a bequest to have the flooring redone in the church.
Oh, the flagging,
So,
yes.
yes, so
all
the,
the
floor that
the
you're on at
slabs
the minute's
here.
from 1954. I believe previously
Very
it
good.
would be more like the tile work that you see in the sanctuary.
And did this lady then, did she pay for this then?
Yes.
Very good, very good.
Now we have one here, Henry Gill. He was a great benefactor of the town. We have the Gill's almshouses that he had built to give poor people somewhere to live. And there's a sum of money. There's a story that in his will he left a sum of money to take care of some unfortunate souls down in Dublin.
And I see he died in 1761.
Yes.
My goodness, so he's been a great asset then.
Oh yeah.
And you were
All the
telling,
time.
what were you telling me? You were telling me the wee story. What was it you said? You told me a wee story about this gentleman.
Yes.
What is that wee story?
About the sum of money in his will to
Yes.
take care of a dozen. I'm trying to think of a better word for it. The word that was given to me was lunatics, which maybe isn't the most politically correct now.
Yeah.
And my father and I, whenever we were taking people around, used to joke that it was a surprise he had to go all the way to Dublin to find them.
Very good, very good.
We have here a replica of the Book of Kells.
Oh, have you?
So we're very fortunate to have one of the few replicas. Obviously, the original is down in Trinity College down in Dublin.
Yes.
And this copy was given to us by Canon Arthur Percival Chamberlain.
That was the minister at Dromore. Am I right in saying that?
His father, George Chamberlain, had been rector here of this church as well, which is why he gave it to us.
I wonder, am I getting mixed up? I wonder, was that Percy who was the rector in Dromore? I'm not too sure. I done a video on him, but I have to
Right.
recheck that. So
Yes. So here we have the organ chamber. The original organ that was put in there and would actually have been inside that chamber was a Conager organ. But when the heating system was put into the church, some bright spark thought it would be a good idea to put the water tanks in above the organ chamber. And of course, Northern Irish winters being what they are, the inevitable happened one year. Pipes burst and the poor organ got ruined with water damage. So our new organ is safely out of harm's way in the centre of the church, which works out better because then...
Where is that now?
It's just at the corner here.
just at the corner.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And it works out better because then, the organist is in the centre of things. She can see
What's happening?
what's going on.
Can I
But
ask you a
all
wee
the
question
organs-
about this?
Yes, certainly.
Is that where we get the term then about your pipes being frozen?
But the organ workings are still in there and the sound comes out of these pipes.
So they still work then?
And yes, and we use a combination of the organ and the piano for our hymns as
Brilliant.
well.
Very good.
So here we have what is actually an old entrance to the church.
Yes.
Now, some people look at that and think it's actually a fireplace.
It looks like a fireplace.
So it's known as the priest's door. So there were two abbeys in the Carrick area. So one was a Franciscan friary down where the town hall is now. And then out towards Woodburn, we had St Mary's Abbey. So we don't know which one had the closest ties to the church, but this is the entrance that the monks would have used to come in. Hence it's known as the priest's door.
Yes.
And you look at that and you think, oh my goodness, they must have been tiny. I mean, they make me look tall. But the floor is about 3 feet higher than it originally was. Over
Yes.
the years, as damage has been done, I mean, at times we didn't even have a roof. A
Yes.
beautiful one now. But
Lovely
there
roof.
were times
Absolutely brilliant.
that there was no roof. But instead
What? Just before you get off the roof, what age? Do you know what age that roof is?
I think that dates possibly from the 1800s. But
The
if you quote me
1800s?
on that, I would need to
Check it out.
Check, yeah.
Sorry for interrupting you
No,
there.
no, not at all. That's grand. So yes, so instead of clearing away the rubble, they just levelled it and built the floor on top. And when we get down to the Norman pillars, you can see from the capstones, gives you an idea of how much.
Yes, but there's a chair here as well, isn't there?
Yes, this chair was donated to the church by a local family. And as you can see, the date on it there is 1659
That is crazy. 1659, folks.
Yeah.
You're looking at a chair here, which is 1659. That is fantastic, and it's preserved so well. And I've noticed, Julie, that there's many artifacts here in
Yes.
this church that have got good age to them.
Yes.
And
And of course-
not only good age, but they're actually well preserved
Yeah.
as well.
And because back then, Carrick didn't have a museum, so when you wanted something kept for posterity, you gave it to the church.
Yes.
For safekeeping.
So the church really was a museum.
Very much.
And
the
a
centre of things.
And in a sense, really, I love the church is a living body and it's not the building.
Yes.
But the church, the building, is still a museum in a sense, isn't it?
Yes.
Because even the graveyards tell a whole story, don't
Oh,
they?
very much. And even just thinking about, all the different people that have worshipped here over the years, we would talk about, the walls being soaked in prayer. And
Yes.
have witnessed, all sorts of occasions, the happy ones, the sad occasions. Every aspect of human life has been witnessed by these
Absolutely.
walls.
Well, what we're going to do now, Julie, we're going to wrap this wee video up and then we'll go into part 2, if that's
No
okay.
worries.
So again, folks, stay with us for part 2. And if you enjoy the channel, please like and subscribe. God bless.